So, thank you very much for joining, everyone. So, as I was saying, this meeting is very important because today we are addressing one important moment regarding the international community, regarding the protection of environment, regarding agriculture, regarding several things. So, we have two guests today. Our network, the Global Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network, as we can say, being present in this important event related to environment. Before giving the word to our guest of today, our speaker, I just share my screen to share a video about this important moment. Then now I will discover, I will tell what it is. Is UN environmental? Please can you put yourself, please? Okay, okay. So the UN Environmental Assembly. So, what is the UN Environmental Assembly? As you may know, inside the UN, there is a special agency that is deputed to the environmental protection, that is the UN Environmental Protection Agency, of course. And every 2 years is being organized this big assembly among all the ministries of environment of the world. This big assembly is properly the UN Environmental Assembly. So, of course, the assembly is not just the one purpose by which all the people are gathering here. As, for example, for COP, there are several other events that are going there. So, and it's gonna last more than one day. And then we will ask to our speaker the experience that we have on this. But just to give you a frame of that, let's share this video that is about the opening plenary of this important meeting.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I declare, after this clapping, open the sixth session of United Nations Environment Assembly and call to order its first plenary meeting. I wish to extend a warm welcome to all the delegates to this meeting, especially those who have traveled all the way to Nairobi for the Assembly, and I look forward to a successful and productive session. Pursuant to Decision 5/4 adopted in the resumed fifth session of the Assembly on 2nd of March 2022, the sixth session of the Assembly is being held at the headquarters of UNEP in Nairobi from 26th of February to March 1st, 2024, and I'd like to inform that in accordance with Rule 67 of the Rules of Procedures of the Assembly, the formal plenary meeting will be webcast through UN Web TV in all UN official languages. All former plenary meetings of the session, as well as the various dialogues, will be held in person. And I would like now to give my opening statement. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's really my great pleasure to welcome you this morning in beautiful Nairobi, Kenya, for the sixth session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. I acknowledge all the hard work undertaken to get us to where we are today. And I want to warmly thank the Executive Director of UNEP, Mrs. Inger Anderson, and all the very capable and efficient UNEP Secretariat for preparing this important and beautiful gathering. A warm thank you as well to His Excellency Firas Khouri, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan in Nairobi and Chair of the Committee of Permanent Representatives, for steering us through the open-ended Committee of Permanent Representatives. And my thanks, my warm thanks also to my colleagues, the members of the UNEA Bureau and the CPR Bureau and Morocco's delegation. We are all working long hours and days to move the negotiations forward, so I would really want to thank you all for your patience and for bringing the spirit of consensus and unity in these negotiations. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, UNEA was established in 2012. It is the world's highest level decision-making body of the environment. Its doors are open to all, to everyone. We had 5 successful sessions that have gaveled over 90 resolutions that have spurred action on critical important issues, from biodiversity, health, to financing for development, plastic pollution, water resources management, sustainable consumption and production, protecting the environment in areas affected by armed conflicts, disasters, among many others. And I would like, ladies and gentlemen and dear colleagues, to sustain and strengthen that it's not the quantity of resolutions that is important, it's the quality and the impact of those resolutions that is more important. And once again, today, in 2024, the international community is looking to us to deliver. This is our moment to advance the global environmental agenda. This is our moment to build on the pledges that were made in the 5 previous sessions and in the different environmental processes that occur between the sessions of the Environment Assembly. In 2024, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, we are living in a time of turmoil. And I know several of us in this room, and there are people who you know that are deeply affected by this turmoil. Why in 2024 we are living what we call 3 inflection points. In this same room, back in 2022, we had a start of a major conflict. Today, we have at least two major conflicts and geopolitical tensions that are affecting us with major international implications. That's inflection point number 1. In 2024, ladies and gentlemen, 50% of the world population is electing its leaders, giving ways at times to populist trends that distract governments from exactly what we are doing here. Third inflection point in 2024, we need to restore trust. Restore trust in multilateralism, restore trust in humanity, and restore trust in humanism. So our response here in UNEA 6 must demonstrate that multilateral diplomacy can deliver. And today, at this UNEA, we must accelerate multilateral action to strengthen the environmental foundation of sustainable development. Time and again, history reminded us that in times of turmoil, conflicts, humanity has dug deep and changed course. There cannot be no better example of this than the United Nations, founded on the ashes of the Second World War. At that time, the global community made a commitment that the world must be, there must be a global body dedicated to working towards peace, security, economic and social development. An organization that would uphold human rights, dignity for all, and equal rights for men, women, and of nations large and small. Over the last decade, UNEA has lived up to the spirit of the UN Charter, bringing together 193 member states, international, intergovernmental organizations, the broader UN systems, civil society groups, youth, women groups, the scientific community, the private sector, to shape global environmental policy and decision-making. As we meet here in 2024, we must be self-critical and work towards inclusive, networked, effective, impactful multilateralism that can make a tangible difference to people's life. We must also, as you know, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, include voices beyond government, the voices of our young generation, the voices of indigenous people, the voices of local communities, the voices of those of the informal sector, by focusing on issues of gender, human rights, and leaving no one behind. We need to give a meaning to this statement. In the early days of the United Nations, the issues of sustainability and the environment were not at the forefront of the international agenda. Remember those days. Today, these issues are front and center of our work every day, and I want it to be at the center of our work this week. Why? Because it has finally become clear to us that the environment is the very foundation of our economies, of our societies, and of our economic progress. As Executive Director and Mrs. Anderson reminded us time and again, we can no longer pollute our way to health. Time is running out to tackle not only the planetary environmental crisis of climate change, nature, biodiversity loss, pollution and waste, but all the global environmental challenges, including desertification, droughts, among others. Global temperatures smashed records in 2023. Some countries, including my own country, Morocco, has already witnessed the 1.5 degrees record last year. We're not waiting for 2050 to see that. The climate emergency continues to ravage countries and people around the world, impacting usually the poorest and most vulnerable the hardest. Hundreds of thousands of species are carrying towards extinction, while over 3.2 billion people are affected by land degradation, and millions of people are dying each year from exposure to pollution, to humidity, and chemicals. This is why, at the UN Environment Assembly, we will advance action on key environmental issues. We begin this assembly with 19 draft resolutions submitted by countries and 2 draft decisions covering environmental priorities. During this assembly, we will aim to drive united, inclusive, and multilateral action that addresses every element of the planetary environmental crisis as one indivisible challenge. And we must do so with the full engagement of civil society, the private sector, youth, and other key stakeholders to ensure a whole-of-society approach. Together, we'll focus on uniting the world under the banner of environmental action, and we'll put our mind and energies on key solutions, including scientific and nature-based solutions, during this critical period for people and planet. It is our time in 2024 to deliver. Excellencies, colleagues, and dear friends, we have before us a heavy agenda, a very busy week with many important decisions to make. The world is watching us, and I urge all of us to engage positively in the spirit of consensus and openly in the deliberations. We have an immense responsibility ahead of us at a time of the 3 major inflection points that I mentioned here before you. I count on each and every one of you to ensure that our discussions over the next 5 days take place in a spirit of understanding and compromise, commitment and urgency, the spirit of Nairobi. We have only one blueprint for our one Earth, our one planet. It is up to us to deliver a clean, greener, and safer future for all people. Let's continue our critical and impactful and vital work. I very much look forward to engaging with all of you this week. Thank you very much.
And so we have heard about the opening speech of the UNEA 6, just to, we can say, setting the scene regarding this meeting of today, that want properly to report what's happened at this important moment. The opening was mentioning about three key main, we say, crises that we are facing and that we have to address together. And also our mission also as a global climate smart agriculture network to report and to give insight about this important movement, especially focusing on the topic of agriculture. And for that, today I want to give the floor to two of our special envoys for the UNEA 6, that has been Denis Odero and Tigist Endashaw. So, Denis and Tigist, thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you for your very important work as envoys there into UNEA 6. So, the floor to you to give your report and feedbacks. I don't know who
Thank,
wants. Okay. Yeah, please, Denis.
thank you so much, Domenico. Good afternoon from Kenya and wherever you are, different parts of the world. My name is Denis Odero. I have a colleague. I'm from Kenya. I have a colleague from Ethiopia, Tigist. Maybe can introduce herself first before we proceed.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Tigist Endashaw, and yeah, I hope you can hear me. I'm based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and I'm working with the Global Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network as the representative to the UNEA and the Africa Union. Yeah. Glad to be here and looking forward to just have a brief reflection of what we experienced at UNEA 6 with Dennis and then have a discussion with the group. Thank you. Just a brief hi to everyone.
Hi. Okay, Dennis, please, to you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Domenico. I'm going to share my screen.
Please go.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, you can go in presentation mode.
Okay. Is it fine?
Yes.
It is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to give a brief presentation, and then my colleague Tigist will also give his side of what he experienced at UNEA 6. And just like the president of the UNEA 6, who is the minister for climate change from Morocco, said, UNEA is United Nations Assembly, and this was the 6th session, and we happen to represent the Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network at this session. It ran from 26 to March, March 1st to the United Nations Environmental Program headquarters in Nairobi, which is in Gigiri. And this year's key, there were three themes. We called them triple planetary crisis: climate change, nature and biodiversity loss, and as well as pollution and waste. And I will be discussing this further in the coming slides. But as you can see, climate change, biodiversity loss, and waste, and as well as pollution, all of them are normally they are connected in a way. So you will see the reason why they chose this theme, because if at one point we manage to take care of the nature biodiversity loss, then we'll be able to take care of the climate change as well as pollution and waste. And the aim of UNEA 6 was to enable the harmony between the nature and the lives of the people, because as a people, we have to live in harmony with the nature. When the nature is disturbed, our lives are disturbed. And currently, we are experiencing the highest levels of the heat. The world temperature beyond 1.5 degrees, and the target from the UNFCCC was to not to go beyond 1.5 and 2. But currently, the world is in that strong direction, and that's why this meeting was so important. And one key thing that was discussed in this session was how to bring all people on board. And when you heard from the UNEA 6 president, she really talked about bringing people together, and that is from people, the youths, the women, we also have people from the local area. So all these people are supposed to be brought on board, and so that the world can achieve this triple these three major changes, that's climate change, nature and biodiversity loss. And before that, we had the Global Youth Environment Assembly, and this one was key, that focused on the key areas that the youths really wanted to be included in this UNEA 6. So I'll discuss them in the next slide as we go forward. Is my slide moving?
Yes.
Domenico, can you confirm? Yeah, okay. The children and the major group had some statements that they also put forward during these meetings, and one of them was to acknowledge the Youth Environmental Assembly in every meeting that will be happening. Why was this important? Because even as we plan for the future, who are the center of this future? These are the youths and also the children. Because even as we plan for 2030 visions, 2050, or whatever visions we have, they have to be in picture. And very important thing that these youths are also bringing on board is the aspect of innovations, because as we try to tackle all these challenges, innovation is going to be very key. And so these were the agendas. These were what they really wanted to the Youth Environmental Assembly to be part of these meetings going forward. And also they talked about the intergenerational equity within UNEP processes. The UNEP has a lot of they have a lot of programs going on, and so the youth were really asking how they can be part of these programs, because they want to be part of this program so that they can also secure a future for themselves and as well as for the coming generations. And also, UNEP role in science policy interface, taking account the perspective of communities most affected by the environmental crisis. So the environmental crisis affects each one of us, wherever you are in this part of the country, wherever your gender and all that. So the youths were represented all over the country. There were over 450 from all over the world, from Southern Globe and as well as East Northern Globe. So all of them had one voice, and these were some of the deliberation that they really wanted to be taken into account. And most of those these issues were finally put in they were finally put in the final draft that was presented to the UNEP highest making body. Also, like I've said, UNEP brought all people on board. So farmers were also had their own resolution that they really wanted to put on. And especially when we're talking about biodiversity loss, farmers play a critical role. And from your information, 60% of the global warming, or 2/3 of the greenhouse gases come from agriculture. So when we talk about that we must have our farming system should be smart agriculture and also be sustainable. then we will be able to reduce the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. And so farmers seeks to improve their level of participation in the liberation of the UNEP. They really wanted to be on the table to discuss these various progress that are going, that they really wish to work on. They also outlined the challenges they're facing, especially in the conflict in terms of invasion by species, zoonotic diseases, global trade disruptions, and also change in climate. So these are the areas that farmers feel they really need support from the UNEP, because to achieve a secure environment, it requires each of us, and farmers are so important in this aspect. The farmers also really wanted to work to convey the importance of agriculture to UNEP, just like I've said, that agriculture contributes majorly to global warming. And so having farmers on board will be able to be able to regulate the amount of CO2 and also as well as the reduce the amount of global warming worldwide. Indigenous people, you have heard even that from the opening remarks of the UNEA 6 president. This is major, and one key that I really mentioned is multilateralism that can help tackle the triple crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, waste and management. So this was very key. And that's why she really talked about bringing everyone on board. Indigenous people play an active role and contribute as well as guardians of nature and as rights and knowledge people. One thing that was also discussed was the importance of the importance of the traditional knowledge, and this is being guarded by indigenous people. So when you talk about biodiversity loss, who are these people who are responsible in that? I think indigenous people play very key because they are really close to our ecosystems. I talk about the forest, the oceans, and all that. So this was very key also in the UNEA 6. And also they had some the previous UNEA didn't put some of their rights into resolutions, and they really wish that this UNEA that was happening in Nairobi took that into consideration, and because as you can see, they even mentions that that heavily that there's a lot of mining, there's a lot of environmental degradation. So, and there are people at the grassroots that take care of the nature. So they really wanted this to be considered in the final draft of the UNEA 6. Science technology was also a major group in this discussion. I've talked about innovations in the wake of the climate change, biodiversity loss, and as well as waste management. And so nature-based solution is key. And nature-based solutions, when you talk about nature-based solutions, like you understand that the soil alone is able to take in the very large amount of the large amount of COE of the CO2 from the atmosphere, and so when we take care of the soil alone, then we will be able to reduce the amount of CO2 from the atmosphere. And so there was an aspect of the financing of nature-based solution. And what we discussed here was it should be science policy. And when talk about science policy interface, there were three aspects here: that is research, testing, as well as criteria. Because even as you finance, you must know what you are financing, and also as well as the criteria that to be used for financing. There was a proposal to establish multidisciplinary repository of knowledge under UNEP on potential risks and impacts of climate. This is solar radiation monitoring, which from the discussion was that if it was not checked well, then it was going to affect a lot of people. So before even going to full to maybe understanding what SRM means, it was discovered that all people should be brought on board, from youths, women, and all that. Another good aspect that was discussed under science and technology was citizen science. It was one of the as one of the practical and sustainable avenue for integrating the voices of the indigenous people, communities, and represents a social innovation in ways scientific work is undertaken. Citizen science is available on the website, so anyone can access the information there, and as well as can add information there. So this is one aspect that the science and technology major groups was asking the UNEP to be able to take it up and maybe make it part of the UNEP activities, and as well as processes. I and Tigist we attended various side events, but our focus was in green room. In green room, what really happened there was that the events that were there were mostly aligned to agriculture and all that. So we will be sharing this full report on this, but I just want to go through some of the events and the thematic areas that were discussed in this room as side events during the UNEA 6. And one of them was agricultural circular bioeconomy systems for concurrently delivering solution to climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution, and food security. So as you can see, we as a network, we are focused on climate smart agriculture, and this was key. Those outcomes from this meeting were very key, and we really made some good we really made some good remarks during those meetings, and as we also seek some more collaboration with people who are there. Another one was sharing good practices for ending plastic pollution and gender just green transition. As you understand, plastic pollution is key, and from those meetings, they were really looking for the youths who are into plastic innovation, because plastic is really a menace, especially in the oceans. So this was key, and if you have any innovation on how we can reduce plastic pollution, then this is an area that you can explore. Promoting the culture of environmental ethics and environmental stewardship, collaborative green action to tackle climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. So as you have seen, environmental stewardship is the way you take care of an environment, and this is where the people, the local community, the people at the grassroots are very key here, because they take care of the nature. They also take care of the agri-food systems. And so this was key for us as we had these meetings, because we could give on we could give our own perspective on what's happening on the ground and what we thought was right. And we really advocated for this, because if you want to take care of environment, as I've said, then you have to have sustainable agricultural food systems. Another key was the role of civil society in multilateral action in addressing the triple planetary crisis. I and Tigist, we represented the civil society that were also here. A lot of them were there, many of them, and the civil society were really recognized as playing a key role in advancing this agenda of the achieving environmental achieving an environmental free that and so one key thing that was there was how UNEP should take up these roles that are being played by the civil society. And so one of the requests from this group was that in all the events that UNEP is doing, not only the UNEA and the ones that normally hold maybe international or national, one of the suggestion was UNEP can have this civil society doing this at their local level, at their grassroots level. And so this one was taken into account, and we hope that from the final report, you will be able to see that. Another thing that was discussed in the green room was sustainable dairy ecosystems, nutrition, security, women empowerment, climate smart agriculture, action on nature and biodiversity enhancement. And this was well represented by US Dairy Academy when they talked about how we can have sustainable dairy ecosystems, where we talk about the zero waste and zero loss, from cow dung to making green gardens, and then going the circle going around like that. So this was key, because like I've said, you have to reduce the amount of CO2 from the agricultural sector, and which the dairy sector or the livestock sector contributes 25%. UNEA 6 resolutions. There were so many of them. And this is what I picked because this is what I saw relevant. But from our final report to Tigist, we'll be sharing all of the UNEA 6 resolutions, and one of them was circularity of resilient and low carbon sugar cane agro industry. Why sugar cane agro industry? Because sugarcane is still grown worldwide, and it currently there's a lot of innovation going in that sector, and also there's a lot of carbon emission from that sector, and so this was key. One of the resolution from UNEA 6. Amendments to the instrument for establishment of restructured global environmental facility. From the meeting, the UNEP is coming up with a group of environmental ambassadors, something like that. I will get the right name. And they were calling on the civil society, the people, the local communities, the youth and UN women to be part of that initiative, so that they can be able to reach out to everyone who is taking care of the environment. Enhancing the role and viability of regional forums of environmental ministers and United Nations Environmental Program. This one was at higher level, where the ministers and UNEP had their own discussion and their outcome as well. Promoting synergies, cooperation, or collaboration, national implementation of multi-sectoral environmental agreements and other relevant environmental instruments. This is just bringing people together across the board, from farmers to science policies and to governments, and internationally and national as well. Strengthening ocean efforts to tackle climate change, marine biodiversity loss, and pollution. Like I've said, like I've said before, plastic pollution is really a menace in the marine ecosystem. And so when you are talking about these oceans also play a very key role in being able to take a lot of waste from the land. So when as the people, as the world will be able to control the effect, this effect of maybe plastic pollution, then we'll be able to have our marine ecosystem back, and also we'll have clean water, just as just like it is one of the 17 SDGs. So these are the solutions that we we saw are important here, but there are around 15 of them. So we'll be sharing that in the full report. And next slide, maybe the pictures that we were there with Tigist. Here it was during the opening, the first picture during the opening ceremony that was attended by the UNEA 6 president. Here during the major groups meeting. And here with three of us, the third picture is me and Tigist and the governor of Vihiga. Vihiga County is one of the counties in Kenya. And what we learned about the governor has told us he has been in this space for climate action for the last 30 years. And why he ran for the governorship, he went there because he wanted to implement some of the things that he really wanted, that he saw that he saw that were not being implemented. And so we really we really forged we really wanted to work with him, and we took his contact. So we are following up with him because he really liked what our network is doing, and he was really interested. And as well as governor is the one who normally represents Kenya in all these climate action meetings. He was in COP28 on behalf of Kenya, and yes, even during African Climate Summit in Nairobi, he was also there to represent the Kenyan government. And last picture, this was multi-environmental agreements exhibition tent. They went there to see what's happening. That's how we were at UNEA 6. Maybe can stop sharing, or Tigist can go ahead, and so that we can have some questions at the end after she has spoken. Thank you so much, everyone here. Thank you so much, Domenico, for organizing this.
Thank you. Thank you very much to you, Denis, for the amazing presentation. Now let's give the floor to Tigist, please. Tigist, I think that yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Denis, for that comprehensive presentation. And as Denis has said, we will be sharing some links and also the full resolutions that were done by the UNEA 6. Just to add a few points, on the weekend of the 24th and the 25th of February, there was the Global Major Groups and Stakeholders Forum, which takes place prior to the UNEA, and it brings in all the major groups and stakeholders so that they can craft their statements, contributions for the UNEA process, encompassing formal meetings and negotiations. The thing I wanted us to really pay attention to is on how this multilateral approach and multilateral engagement really helps these processes, because this major group consisted of representatives from Africa, Asia and the Pacific, Europe, the Latin America and the Caribbean, the North America and the West Asia. And Denis had highlighted those that are relating to activities with the climate smart agriculture and sustainable development with the youth, indigenous, and the science tech. But there are other also major groups that are focusing on women, on business and industry, on the local authorities, on the NGOs, as well as the workers and trade. And so all these convening and bringing and brainstorming and like having an open dialogue. And one of the things that we really found to be unique for UNEA is that the encouragement to have an open and, dialogue, making everyone comfortable to give their ideas and reflect. So I think that's one of the things we really need to encourage in our networks, that every idea matters. There is like everything builds on one another, so that needs to be encouraged. And the other thing from the processes of the UNEA 6 within the negotiations and everything, it really showed the commitment of the global community to make a difference, to bring change encompassing every stakeholder, and the attention that's given to the youth and the women is very much encouraging. And also the attention with the theme of the meeting itself, the inclusive and sustainable multilateral actions to tackle climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. So everything was paid attention to, and I think as a network, we have tried our best to be able to represent the network as well as make good contacts, which we hope would be fruitful in the coming. So I think because most of it has been touched with Dennis, I don't want to take much time, taking also the time into consideration, but we would be happy to answer any questions that might arise from the group. I'll be sharing two links in the chat. One is what the major groups are, the focus of what the major groups and the stakeholders is all about, and then the other one is on all the outcomes of the UNEA 6. So you can just go to those links and refer more and have additional details on this. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tigist, and thank you very much again, Dennis, for your very important report and for bringing high the value and the work of the network into this important meeting. So now we can have some space for questions to our colleagues, Denis Odero and Tigist Endashaw. So please, if there are some questions or comments you want to address to the speakers, also curiosities, eventually about their experience into UNEA 5, sorry, UNEA 6. Yeah, Wendo, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon. I just want to thank Denis and Tigist for this great reflection in terms of what happened. I think that's the level and type of reflection that one would want to hear from such type of high level engagement as those that happen at the UN level. One question that I just want to maybe get a little bit of more clarification on is just you referred to some, for example, collaborative platforms that may have existed and you engaged in. I want to understand, for example, if one of the sessions that was addressed, was held, addressed the issues of financing. So climate change financing, like environmental restoration, and so that then from there I would make a follow-up question to say, how is the financing platform or landscape looking currently, going into the near future and maybe in the medium term and long term? How is the climate change or sustainable development financing going? Just so that maybe probably the GCSAYN would be positioning themselves in terms of what type of alliances do we need to have, what type of collaborative partnerships should we be forging, and going forward. So I hope you have been able to pick my question. Thank you very much, and over to you, Domenico.
Okay, Dennis, Tigist, if you want to respond.
Thank you so much, Kavanda, for that question. Yes, climate finance is one of the major issues when it comes to climate action. And as we all know, there has been a big challenge to access to climate finance everywhere, especially, all of us knowing Africa being the least emitter to climate change, but it's the highest, who is bearing the highest burden of climate change. But the issue with climate change, as we know, is, as being mentioned, there is the lack of capacity, the lack of that technical capacity to tap into the available climate finance that's there, the lack of capacity to really come up with bankable proposals with the different financing institutes like the GCF, GEF, and the like. Also, the other thing that's now becoming an issue, as I can just at least talk about Africa, is that the security issue of, most areas being affected with conflict and the like. But apart from that, climate finance really needs focus in bringing up, this is my very much conviction and uptake, that we need to really look into what's there in country, like already available interventions and, capacities that are there on the ground, which needs to be built upon, bringing in the community, engaging the community, tapping into indigenous knowledge that was being mentioned earlier, and taking those initiatives forward, because waiting upon those, okay, yeah, we need those finances, but let's take, for example, just briefly, the loss and damage fund. How long did that loss and damage fund did it take it to become operationalized? And then now we see that it is operationalized, but now the how and the who and the everything is now also taking time, because they need to put now systematic ways on how to disperse those funds. But does climate change stand still and wait for us? No, it's a daily struggle. It's a daily predicament that we are facing. I can tell you that this week there has been an announcement in Addis, because the level of the heat has become really beyond what we have been experiencing in previous years. So, and we have seen all the negative impacts of climate change. It doesn't stand still, doesn't wait for us. So action needs to happen on the ground. Action needs to happen now. And I think it's up to all the, focusing our efforts on what's happening in country as we wait on the other finances to come in, given all the other challenges. So bringing in the, public and private partnerships, and strengthening the frameworks and the institutional capacity, and everything needs to be paid attention on. But at the same time, we need to really look into within contextually to bring in the, what are the those points that we can build upon and take forward. That's my take. I hope I have tried to address your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think very, very many great insights there, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't know if Dennis, do you want to add something? And also if there are other questions that you want to take?
No, maybe just one thing that was clear. UNEP said that there are a lot of programs that are currently going in country, locally. So they really emphasize on working those local programs that are ongoing, and because the finances are mostly done there. So and for our network, considering that we are all over the world, so it is easy to tap in that in those local programs in different countries, in different setups. Doing that is going to be easy. Maybe doing is at maybe as a whole program. So that's what I can say. Just to add on what Tigist has said.
Okay, there are other questions eventually. I saw some in the chat. Maybe let me check. Okay. Thank you, Tigist, for the links. First of all, save this link. So I have one question in the meanwhile that maybe the audience is gonna think about possible questions. My question is about the use of the word climate smart agriculture. So, understanding your experience, did you see that maybe in the discussion there, the topic of climate smart agriculture was well addressed, or there were other ways in which, like the topic was encountered, and so on and so forth? So, which is your perception on the importance that has been given to the climate smart agriculture into the discussion there?
Thank you, Domenico. This was key because every climate smart agriculture, like I've said in my presentation, agriculture accounts for majority of greenhouse emissions. And so when we talk about climate smart agriculture, we are trying to come up with agri-food systems that are very much sustainable in this manner, that we are able to produce food for us, and at the same time we are able to take care of the same nature and maybe environment. And so when you talk about climate smart agriculture, this was key because even some people didn't understand it. So we had to explain to them what we really mean by it. Initially people thought climate smart agriculture is about just having a lot of innovations. Not really. Some are nature-based innovations that not need even single, maybe you don't even add any other type of maybe technology, but simple things that can take care of the nature and can also give us enough food, because we have to get food from the same nature and also take care of the same nature. So this was key, and it was well explained and was well taken care of by the people when this conference.
Thank you very much. There's no TGC if you want to add something, or even though if there are other questions. Okay. So, if there are no other questions, maybe we can leave the floor to Denis and Tigist for some last remarks. Just to say that we will record this session. We are recording this session, and we will share the recording because it's important to, you can say, also analyze this insight, because now we are hearing for the first time, but it's important to take track and to develop more also the relationship, no, that we build up. And surely, as a, can say, executive board of GCSAYN, is important that we can follow up to, for example, the different can say connection and networking that our colleagues have can say very importantly made. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. And it's important, I think, to follow up on these topics also international level. I will leave the floor, as I say, to Denis and Tigist for some last remarks, and then eventually we can close the call. Denis, to you.
Thank you once again, Domenico, and to everyone that is here. You have taken your own time to be in this forum. Climate smart agriculture is accredited to UNEP and other UN agencies, and so we have this platform to go to these forums, sell our agenda, do networking. And I and Tigist, we really did a good network, good networking for this network. And we hope that the network we made during this assembly are going to add value, and we are looking for more collaboration in the coming days and future. And also the learning experience from this is that we need to be very innovative. I understand we have various centers of excellence that are doing a lot of innovation. So we need to put this out there. When you are doing and you are not telling the world what you are doing, then we can't be able to know. So when we go to this platform, we need to tell our story of what the network is doing. So I really wish our centers of excellence all over to take note and to communicate what they are really working on, so that we can be able to share with the entire world what we are doing, because this is what people want to see and do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You?
Thank you very much.
I see, no, I see a raised hand, sorry. Obi, please, if you want to intervene. Obi, I see your raised hand, please. So, meanwhile, that Obi maybe is taking the floor. Tigist, if you want to share some last remarks.
Okay, thank you very much again, Domenico, and also everyone here. I also would like to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to everyone. And as Denis has mentioned, these forums really present us with a very good opportunity to showcase what we are doing at the same time, to bring in those connections and collaborations that we really need as a network. So we hope that our efforts will bear fruit in the future. There is one upcoming meeting, as Denis was mentioning earlier, as a call to the Centers of Excellences. There is an upcoming meeting on the May 9th and 10th, 2024, for the UN civil society organizations, which is going to convene all the civil society organizations and reflect on all the issues. So that's something to look forward to. And if there are any inputs or any showcasing that's needed, maybe that's something to really think upon, as we have at least a few months ahead of that. So thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, like if anything comes up to your mind, you can use the various chat pages of our WhatsApp groups, the various groups. And also, please make sure you share the links that we have shared with other colleagues, so that they will be up to speed on everything that has been happening concerning UNEA 6. Thanks, and back to you, Domenico.
Thank you very much. So one last call for Obi. I don't know if you want to intervene. Even though we can close the call. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. Thank you again, our special envoys, Denis Odero and Tigist Endashaw. So thank you very much to all. It's been a wonderful session, very informative, and I think important for our network. So let's keep in touch, and have a nice day. Bye. Bye to all.
Thank you and bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye,
bye.
everyone. Bye.